We are eager for us to get started. Who's going to cue me? Okay, ready? Cue. Good morning, everyone. I'm Pam Conlon, Vice President for University Advancement and President and CEO of the BGSU Foundation. We are delighted to have all of you with us today, in person and virtually. As the pandemic continues, Bowling Green State University is following all guidelines from the Centers for Disease Control, the State of Ohio, Ohio Department of Health, and Wood County Health Department by holding this event outside, wearing facial masks when inside our buildings, and completing our health self-checks before we come to campus. We are so happy for all of you to be with us today to celebrate the Changing Lives for the World campaign and the significant impact that the results of that campaign will have on the future of Bowling Green State University and our students. We announced the results of the campaign in March, but we couldn't do so in person. So today is our day to celebrate, and we're excited to do so with you. Before we begin the rest of the program, I would like to recognize the dedicated leaders and ambassadors of the university who are with us in attendance. When I call your name, please stand, and I ask the audience to hold your applause until all have been recognized. BGSU Board of Trustees Vice Chair, Marilyn Isley. Current members of the board, Drew Forhan, Linda Forte, S.D. Miller, Jeff Radbill, and Howard Troll. Past Board of Trustees chairs, David Levy and Bob Sebo. Campaign honorary co-chairs, Bob Sebo and Linda Sebo. Campaign co-chair Larry Benz, and all members of the campaign committee. And all of you can stay standing as your names are called. BGSU Foundation Board immediate past chair Mike Colleen, and all foundation board members. BGSU Alumni Association board members, including immediate, you may stay standing if you'd like, immediate past chair Jack Hott, and all of our Alumni Association board members. BGSU Provost and Senior Vice President for Academic and Student Affairs, Joe Whitehead. BGSU President Rodney Rogers, and University please stand, we need to see where you are, and University Advocate Sandy Earle. And according to a recent survey by Quality Logo Products, ranked number 8 as the best college mascots in the country, the only selected in the MAC, and the number 1 mascots in our hearts, Freddie and Frida Falcon. Have I missed anyone? Okay. So today we're in the historic Bowen-Thompson Quadrangle near the renovated University Hall, BGSU's first building, and the site of our public launch of the Changing Lives for the World campaign. This occurred in October of 2017. The campaign, which began on July 1st, 2014, is the second comprehensive campaign for Bowling Green State University, and it raised philanthropic funds to advance the university's strategic initiatives. Our current campaign's $200 million goal elevated priorities to increase support for students, named faculty chairs and professorships, colleges, units, and programs, facility construction and renovations, and unrestricted resources. We are tremendously grateful to all who contributed their time, talent, and resources to achieve the historic results that will advance the next chapter of BGSU's future and will ensure that we create public good and always move forward. This includes the Board of Trustees, Campaign Committee, Foundation Board, Alumni Association Board, our faculty, staff, and students, and most importantly, our donors. I'd like to now acknowledge our most generous donors, starting with those who have contributed over $10 million during the campaign. As I call your name of each group, please stand and be recognized. I will ask for applause at the end of each donor group, but do hold your applause till then. I will read the names of all of our donors, regardless of whether they are in attendance today for these groups. Cedar Fair, Bill Frack Estate at the Findlay Hancock County Community Foundation, Alan and Carol Schmidhorst, and Robert and Ellen Thompson and the Thompson Foundation. Thank you, Al. Donors who made gifts of $5 million to $9.9 million during the campaign: Paul and Margot Hooker, and Jeff Radbill. Here comes the cheering squad. There you go. Thank you both. Donors who made gifts totaling $1 million to $4.9 million. And I want you to bear with me. This is an impressively long list of names. Craig Anderson, Robert Baltz, and stand when I call your name, please. Marjorie Conrad, Pete Cowie, Mary Cranker, Bill Downing, Robert Golding, Dottie and Dwayne Hanson, Peggy Hollingsworth, Michael Hoskins, Janet Huss, Charles Koch Foundation, Mike and Sarah Colleen, Dekai Liu and Jian Zhang, Timothy Martin, Raymond Marvin, Robert and Patricia Maurer, Michael and Mary Lee McGranigan, Medical Mutual and the Medical Mutual Community Investment Fund of the Columbus Foundation, Rhonda and Stephen Malkai, Lee and Marge Meserve, Larry and Tricia Miles, George Mylander and the Mylander Foundation, the Nishatuk Charitable Fund of the Schwab Foundation, David and Lisa O'Brien, Owens Corning Foundation, William Primrose III and Diane Primrose, John and Ruth Riedel, Peggy Schmeltz, the Fred E. Scholl Charitable Foundation, Tom Shanklin, Scott Slater and the Internet Corporation, Tom and Mary Snitch, Tom and Janice Stern, Herman Steele, and Marianne Teagues and the Kenneth Teagues Trust Foundation. What a group. Now, as a group, I would like all of those who are donors who've made gifts totaling $500,000 to $999,000 to please stand to be recognized. Now, donors who contributed between $250,000 and $499,000, please stand. Donors who made gifts totaling $100,000 to $249,000, please stand. and donors who made gifts of $25,000 to $99,000. Please stand. These were what we considered our major donors to the campaign, but we had over 36,000 donors who contributed the rest of the campaign contributions, and we are so grateful to every single one of our donors because every contribution matters. It matters to our students, and it matters to the long-term future for BGSU. Thank you all for your generosity to Bowling Green State University. It is now my pleasure to introduce and welcome to the podium Dr. Larry Benz, a 1984 graduate and co-chair of the Changing Lives for the World campaign. Larry.
Thank you, Pam. Thank you. Appreciate it. What a beautiful day to celebrate such an incredible, monumental accomplishment. This accomplishment brought in more than $255 million in gift commitments. And I had the blessed opportunity and the fortunate time to spend with some incredible co-chairs, Jim Bailey, and the honorary chairs, Shantanu and Rennie Narayan and Babalinda Savo, and a terrific committee that Pam introduced earlier. Thank you. The campaign began on July 1st, 2014, under the leadership of then President Dr. Mary Ellen Mazie, with a focus to secure philanthropic gifts to support the priorities that would really position the university for the future. Shortly after the public launch of the campaign, Dr. Rodney Rogers was appointed as the 12th president of BGSU, and the incredible number of relationships that he had established in positions as the dean of the Schmidhorst College of Business, as well as the provost, sparked a renewed energy and a momentum in the final 3 years of the campaign. The pace of conversations and gifts and closures of commitments of the campaign committee, the board of trustees, the foundation of the alumni boards, and the generous supporters set new and incredible records. Give yourselves a hand for that one. The Changing Lives of the World campaign built upon the previous success of BG's first campaign, and the results are incredibly impressive. Total gift commitments up 74%. Most of the colleges and the units increased by double digits. Alumni increased by 110%, and corporate and foundation grew by 64%. It was clear that the campaign's priorities to position us for the future resonated with the donors. Funding for endowed professorships, chairs, and faculty support increased by 99%. The campus master plan, facilities and program support by 202%. And most importantly, funding for our students, which is what this is all about, through scholarships and student support by 122%. These philanthropic results, along with the momentum of the campaign, will now generate incredible opportunities to create public good. I look forward to seeing how this progress continues for years to come. Thank you very much.
It's now my pleasure to welcome to the podium the Vice Chair of the BGSU Board of Trustees, Marilyn Isley.
Thank you, Pam. It is a pleasure to be here today to celebrate the success of the Changing Lives for the World campaign. As Vice Chair and on behalf of the Board of Trustees, we recognize and applaud the commitment of our alumni, donors, friends, and supporters. Together, we have raised more than $255 million in support of our educational mission. Beyond the board's 100% participation in this campaign, we are so supportive of the direction of our university. As you heard today, this campaign certainly supports our strategic plan and our priorities to move forward. It positions us for what's next, including additional scholarship support, for current and future students, professorships to attract and retain quality faculty, and funds that push us to dream bigger with our facilities and our programs. It also supports life design, a new approach to education that provides students the critical competencies to succeed both in college and in life. This could not have happened without the leadership of so many people who are with us today. The trustees want to acknowledge the campaign committee, foundation and alumni boards, President Rogers, Pam Conlin, and the leadership team at the university. While today we officially close our Changing Lives for the World campaign, its impact on Bowling Green State University is just getting started. Like many of you, as an alumni, I am extremely proud of our alma mater. This campaign is not just defined by dollars raised, but by lives changed. Thank you.
Thank you, Marilyn. It's now my privilege to introduce the 12th president of Bowling Green State University, Dr. Rodney K. Rogers. Rodney.
Thank you, Pam. It is certainly an extraordinary day here at Bowling Green State University for a number of reasons. First of all, what a beautiful day. Isn't it? A beautiful day. The 99th homecoming. We have so many rich and amazing traditions here at this institution. But right now, we are celebrating the conclusion of an amazing comprehensive campaign that started 6 years ago. Changing Lives for the World is our promise for the future of our university. It's to our students, our faculty, our staff, our alumni, our parents, families, community members, all of Ohioans, and more importantly, it's a promise for that next generation that is yet to arrive at BGSU. It is certainly a significant accomplishment in our university's more than 111-year history. And when you look back on July 1st, 2014, when this all began, we embarked on the largest comprehensive fundraising endeavor in our history by launching this campaign. And consultants and industry experts told us, a $150 million goal would be, that would be good enough. But our trustees and board members and my predecessor, Mary Ellen Mazie, challenged us to dream bigger. So we set a very ambitious goal of $200 million. And as we shared this past spring, and we reaffirmed today, we raised more than $250 million for Bowling Green State University. And it is important that we are in this location where we launched the public phase of this campaign on this very spot in October of 2017. Larry, you might remember that. You were there, of course. But behind us is also University Hall, the original building of our campus that is the cornerstone of Bowling Green State University. Imagine the history that's in that building that's behind us. When you look at the totality of Changing Lives for the World campaign, the success belongs to the 38,000 plus alumni and donors who gave gifts of all sizes to support our university, over 38,000 individuals. And on the onset, we looked intentionally to make sure that we understood our needs. We certainly wanted to be very intentional to those that we engaged with a case of support that would not just resonate with them, but would move our university forward and make a difference. Our priorities, obviously, scholarships, professorships, endowed leadership positions, academic programming, and facilities. And I'm struck by all of those who have worked to make this happen. I certainly want to take a moment to thank all of the members of our Board of Trustees over these years, including Chair Dave O'Brien, former chairs Betty Montgomery, Dan Keller, Megan Newlove, David Levy, Fran Vole, Debbie Ryan, and Bill Primrose. And I also want to thank Chair Manny Coney and former Chair Mike Colleen and members of the Foundation Board, and Jack Hott, Jack Hott, and members of our Alumni Board. And certainly Chairs Jim Bailey and Larry Bentz, honorary chairs Shantanu and Rainey Narayan, and Dr. Bob and Linda Sebo, and all the members of the campaign committee. Your work, support, your belief moved us forward and achieved this goal. And as president and as an alumnus of Bowling Green State University, I am grateful for all that you have done and continue to do for BGSU. I also want to make sure that I thank and recognize the university's leadership, our cabinet and deans, and we have several of those individuals with us today. And I've got to call this out because those individuals continued during a global pandemic to move this institution forward and at the same time supported this campaign. So could I ask my colleagues, senior leadership and deans and staff that are with us, would you please stand? Thank you. They are making it happen. They are moving this forward with your support, of course. I especially want to also thank my predecessor, President Emeritus Mary Ellen Mazie. Her leadership was absolutely a catalyst and built the foundation of this campaign. And during her tenure, the university began really a renaissance. We saw a physical rebirth of our campuses. She was absolutely committed, working to ensure that we were successful and continued to foster a culture of philanthropy. And our alumni and donors did more than just step up to meet that call. For example, they raised more than $102 million for student scholarships alone. This campaign saw many firsts. From the 23,002 first-time donors to our first endowed academic college, the Allen W. and Carol Schmidhorst College of Business, to the first time we had the ability to offer a wide-ranging, need-based scholarship program with the Thompson Working Families Program. We received 4 individual gifts of more than $10 million, 2 above $5 million, and 37 donors who contributed above $1 million. And it doesn't stop there. We had 39,691 donors who made gifts less than $1,000. That builds a foundation for the campaign and for the future. And beyond those transformational and annual gifts alike, we recognize that our success is not just measured in dollars and cents, but in the personal stories, pride and belief in Bowling Green State University, a university that has a mission to drive public good. And while we accomplish this in so many ways, research, creative activities, partnerships, and meaningful engagement, it is our people. It is our people, the power of a learning community that demonstrates the value of a BGSU education. It's the student who traveled 8,212 miles from Hyderabad, India, to study in an emerging program at the time called computer science, who went on to become the CEO of Adobe. It's that shy Delta Gamma who came to BGSU to be a teacher, but discovered a passion for acting, and then she went on to win an Oscar. It's the student known for kind of running up and down and across every street and alley here in Bowling Green when he was a student, but he went on to win and run and win the gold in the 1972 Olympics in Munich. And most recently, it's a student from Maple Heights, Ohio, who aspired to work at NASA and had a passion to explore the next frontier. And if you remember, he was the one who was involved in building the power system for the Perseverance rover that landed on Mars this past spring. And there are thousands and thousands of other stories just like that. And many of those stories each of you have had in your careers and your success as you've graduated from Bowling Green and gone out and done amazing things. The Changing Lives for the World campaign represents the stories of our current students and faculty, staff, and more than 191,000 alumni. And donors who gave 160,722 gifts. 160,722 gifts were given during this time. That is a record. And speaking of records, we witnessed history at Bowling Green State University. To support our students with the greatest needs, alumni Bob and Ellen Thompson, and we are here on the Bowen-Thompson quadrangle, they are the university's largest cumulative donors ever. To support the students and programs in business, alumni Al and Carol Schmidhorst gave the largest single academic endowment gift in our history. To support student athletes in our basketball program, alumnus and the late Bill Frack gave the largest gift to athletics in our history. To create new programs and opportunities for our students, Cedar Fair gave the largest single corporate gift ever. Beyond this history and records, we concluded this campaign in a year unlike any other. COVID-19 global pandemic will forever impact us. But even in the face of unprecedented challenges, BGSU finished the final year of the campaign at an all-time record, receiving more outright gifts and commitments in 2020 than at any time in our history. And while we far surpassed over $200 million of our goal to come up with the $255 million, this campaign is certainly defined by more than dollars and cents. It's defined by our current and future students. It is defined by our talented faculty and staff. It is defined by you. It is absolutely defined by you. Your belief in our history has prepared us for what is next. This campaign has been beyond successful. Now, we have the opportunity and responsibility to write the next chapter in our university's history. It will be hard work, but it will be good work filled with purpose. And no matter how challenging this may be, this global pandemic, we are reaffirming our commitment to be that public university for the public good, to serve and educate our students, and to demonstrate the relevance and value of Bowling Green State University to Ohio and beyond. We have accomplished so much, but we have so much more to accomplish. I Ziggy Zumba.
Thank you, President Rogers. Now we will have the opportunity to hear from one of our outstanding students who will speak to the benefit of the campaign and the impact on our students. It's my pleasure to introduce Giovanni Colantonio, a finance major from the Schmidhorst College of Business and a Thompson Working Families Scholarship recipient, graduating this May 2022. Giovanni is the chapter president for the BGSU American Marketing Association and the vice president of best practices for the Dean's Advisory Council on Diversity and Inclusion. He will share the campaign impact on our students. Giovanni.
Thank you. So 3 years ago, being a nervous high school senior, every other year moving and never really having a place to call home, I had to babysit my sister and my mom had to work. So the last thing on my mind was figuring out how to navigate after I got my diploma. With little money and even less time, I was ecstatic to learn in late 2018 that the Thompsons were willing to offer a scholarship for choosing Bowling Green State University. Although the opportunity to go to college was the most direct benefit, being able to forge professional and personal relationships has been the greatest blessing of being a Thompson Scholar. In addition to the Thompsons and Thompson Scholars team, I would like to give a special shout out to my mom, little sister Gianna, DeKel Patterson, Bridget, Emma, Ashley, and my best friend. Being a Thompson Scholar has meant a college experience defined by but yes instead of yes but. It has meant the opportunity to live and grow in ways I never thought were possible. Freed from the fear of putting my family through mountains of student loan debt, I had the opportunity to focus on professional growth. Without the Thompsons, I would not have been able to take the time to work on professional development. Without the Thompsons, I would not have had the time to meaningfully involve myself in leadership roles in 2 business student organizations. Without the Thompsons and the Career Center, I would not have secured such a respected internship at one of America's biggest companies. And without that internship, I would not have earned the title only about 300 people in the rest of the world can call their own. Operations Finance Rotation Analyst at Amazon. Despite an upbringing filled with challenging circumstances, the Thompson Scholarship has made it possible to see an opening at the end of that tunnel. The Thompson Scholarship provided the opportunity to focus on school and build a professional network with countless amazing professors, recruiters, managers, and students from several different walks of life. In addition to these successes, I've also had a personal one, which would not have been possible without the Thompson Scholarship. Since meeting my best friend in freshman year, I learned to become comfortable with my sense of self. As somebody who experiences chronic anxiety, being able to count on them meant the world. When I needed a person to confide in, someone to ask for help, or someone to bring out my best self, she was always there by my side. Because of that, she's become part of my family. To pay all these blessings forward, I've helped promote diversity and inclusion in 2 major business organizations, the Dean's Advisory Council on Diversity and Inclusion and the Bowling Green American Marketing Association. We're also beginning to bring back in-person speakers from many of America's biggest companies to help our students become competitive applicants for the world ahead of them. Perhaps more than any other principle, committing yourself to elevating others is the hallmark of leadership, belonging, professional development, and genuine ambition. That's the principle that underlined the Thompson Family Scholarship. It's the principle that makes and has made BG a place of belonging, both for those who've already chosen to study here and those who are soon to come. As I finish senior year, my professional ambitions reflect the opportunities made possible by an incredible 3 years. I'll begin my role as a level 4 financial analyst at Amazon and travel to some of America's largest cities. In a few years, I hope to complete the exams to earn the rank of Chartered Financial Analyst. Down the road, becoming a chief financial officer has gone from something I felt you had to be born into to something I feel can be accomplished with hard work and determination. I hope to settle down in Seattle and be as great of a parent to my future kids in the future as I feel my parents were. As long as I hold myself to high standards, earn trust, and practice bias for action, I believe many of these ambitions can happen in time. Thank you.
Isn't that an amazing example of a great student, BGSU? Thank you, Giovanni. One of the campaign priorities, as already mentioned, was to increase the number of endowed faculty positions, professorships, and chairs. So it's now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Alexis Ostrowski. Alexis is the Associate Professor of Chemistry and the Dr. Thomas Kinsel Professor. She's been named one of the American Chemical Society's emerging investigators in inorganic photochemistry and photophysics, and has received the prestigious Career Award from the National Science Foundation for her research. Dr. Ostrowski will share the campaign impact on our academic areas. Thank you.
Good morning. I am honored to be with you today as part of celebrating this campaign. And I think depending on where you're coming from or what your background is, when you think of an endowed professorship, you might think about the particular professor it's named after, or maybe the person like me who's holding the title, or maybe think about the funds that were donated. And I think those are all certainly important. But what I want you to think about today, and what I think about as a recipient of the Dr. Thomas Kinsel Professorship, is the lives of the students that have been changed through this. In this case, I think it's especially fitting because when I think about Tom Kinsel and what he's brought to BGSU, I really do think about the students he's taught, the students he's mentored and helped. When I first arrived at BGSU, Tom was one of the first chemistry professors I met, and he was the chemistry professor that everyone knew. Everyone has a story about Dr. Kinsel, And these stories are usually about how he's changed their lives, either through teaching a tough concept in his organic chemistry course, or writing a recommendation letter for them to get into medical school or their grad school of their dreams, or training them just to be an outstanding chemist while they're earning their PhD and making new molecules in the lab. So to me, this endowed professorship represents the impact that Tom has had on the lives of his students and provides an opportunity to continue this impact by supporting other faculty like me. So this endowed professorship allows me to pay it forward, to continue to impact the lives of the students at BGSU just as Tom did by training the students into outstanding scientists. So part of my job as a chemistry professor is to train and mentor students, graduate students, and undergraduate students in doing science research. To do this, I have to maintain a lab. I need to buy the instruments and chemicals. I need to secure funding for that to pay the students to work in the lab. And I do this mostly by applying for and hopefully receiving grant funding from places like the National Science Foundation that was mentioned. But as you can imagine, getting these grants funded is very difficult. It's very competitive, and they usually fund proposals that are a little bit less risky, and many of these grants actually tend to go to faculty at larger, more well-known institutions with larger programs and more students to do the work. So I feel like at BGSU, these professorships are so important because they provide funds to my lab to support students, repair lab equipment, send students to scientific conferences, giving them the opportunity to engage with scientists from around the world. And most importantly, funds to help us get preliminary results so that when I write those grant proposals, they're a little bit less risky, they're more competitive, and then we're more likely to get the funding that we need. And that's what I'm using those funds for right now in the lab. The funds are have supported students to work in the summer, graduate students and undergraduate students to get training in a chemistry lab. They're getting preliminary results for these grant proposals that we can submit and hopefully get funded. And repairing lab equipment so we can get the instruments back running and getting and collecting scientific data. So I want you all to know that I really appreciate the support from the donors. This impacts our work, my work in the lab, and most importantly, still impacts the lives of the students. Thank you.
Again, another outstanding example of great faculty leadership and exploratory learning and opportunities for our students. So thank you, Dr. Ostrowski. To all of our attendees and viewers today, thank you so much for joining us on this memorable occasion to celebrate the historic success of the Changing Lives for the World campaign and truly the impact of private philanthropy on Bowling Green State University. We look forward to seeing those of you who are viewing virtually with us in the future. For our in-person attendees, we hope you'll enjoy the brunch that is to follow this event, music on the quad, as well as festivities and food in University Hall, in the beautiful Maurer Center, on the Riedel Courtyard, and in the Conda Maurer Terrace. We hope you'll enjoy Falconland using the brochures that are at your seats, and the many homecoming weekend activities, which will be punctuated after the BGSU football game this evening. Bob, we're going to get a win, right? Good. It will be punctuated by fireworks to really cap off the day. So I hope you all have a wonderful day, and thank you so much for what you do for Bowling Green State University.